좀 이따 하겠죠.
그쵸,
좀
그쵸.
이따 하겠죠.
맞아요.
수 있나?
그러면
오면 다 같이 한번 더
다시
읽자.
그럼 좋을 것 같아. 아니,
나 cry.
나 없는데 엑소 속에서.
어디 두셨는데요?
나 버렸는데.
진짜로?
BaekHyeon is a textbook example of someone who wants to look emotionally detached because he's terrified of looking emotionally weak. He's not a bad guy. In fact, he's probably one of the most emotionally honest men in the house when no one's watching, but the moment he realizes other people can see that side of him, he panics and hides behind pride. He's the kind of person who feels too much and then regrets showing it. When he cried reading Hyunji's letter and secretly cooked breakfast for her, that was his truest self, soft, loyal, still deeply attached. But the next day when he sat beside her and said, "I threw the letter away." Was that really true, or was it damage control? Was he trying to erase the vulnerability he showed the night before because he was embarrassed by his own heart? Honestly, I think he's confused about what he wants. He wants to move on, that's why he's trying with Yunyong. But he also wants to protect his ego, that's why he acts cold. And deep down, he's still emotionally stuck on Hyunji, that's why he cries, gets jealous, and can't truly let go. Hi guys, it's your girl Funnel Pop. A lot of fans have been dissecting BaekHyeon's attitude in episodes 6 and 7 of Exchange Season 4. So this is my take on what happened and how he handled issues with his ex's introduction letter in episode 6, saying he threw it away. He said he was going to look for it, but then he left for the kitchen, checked himself out in the mirror, and didn't actually search for the letter. You know that moment when someone says they don't care, but literally everything they do screams the opposite? Yeah, that's BaekHyeon in Exchange 4, episode 6. The man said, and I quote, "I threw the letter away." But sir, weren't you just crying over that same letter 24 hours ago? Let's break this down guys, because this scene says everything about who BaekHyeon really is, and it's not what he wants people to think. So, before we get into the mess inside the house, let's rewind a little. BaekHyeon and Hyunji dated for 2 years, and honestly, their relationship was passionate but chaotic. They loved each other deeply, the kind of love where you fight hard, and yet, you just can't let go. He was younger than her, and during his military enlistment, he wrote to her every single day. Every day. That's how attached he was. And after he got into an accident and had to be discharged early, Hyunji even moved in with him at his parents' house to take care of him. So when I say these two were intense, I mean it. But eventually, that same intensity started working against them. The arguments piled up, the communication broke down, and BaekHyeon was the one who ended things. They've been apart for 5 years now, and according to him, he hasn't dated anyone since. But she's probably had 1 or 2 relationships. And after all that history, you'd think they'd both have moved on, but what happened in the house shows just how messy unresolved feelings can get. And now, they're face to face again, inside a shared house on Exchange 4. Now, when the contestants first entered the house, each ex wrote an introduction letter, something to help the group get to know their past relationships. But Hyunji hadn't arrived yet when the others read theirs, so her written letter about her ex was read in her absence. BaekHyeon, after reading his letter at dinner the first night, didn't have much reaction like the others. The members even expressed their surprise that he was the only person that didn't cry. But after, on his way to his room, he read hers again quietly, sighing, feeling unsettled. That letter clearly hit a nerve. He didn't throw it away then. In fact, when she finally arrived at the house later the third night, it was that same letter that cracked his walls completely. After seeing her again, and realizing another male housemate, his friend, was already showing interest in her, he took that letter, after everyone had gone to bed, went somewhere private, and read it again. And that's when it happened, he cried. Like, he really cried. You could tell it wasn't just nostalgia. It was regret, guilt, and that what if kind of pain that never really leaves after a breakup you didn't fully heal from. And after all that emotion, he went and cooked breakfast anonymously for the group, not for himself, not for attention, but because he wanted Hyunji to feel comfortable eating with everyone the next morning. He wanted her to be part of the group, even if she didn't know he was behind it. That small quiet act said more about his true feelings than anything he's ever said out loud. That's not indifference, that's love disguised as, I don't care. But here's where the emotional whiplash hits. The very next night, everyone's sitting around chatting. The topic of the letters comes up. And since Hyunji wasn't there when her letter was first read, she's naturally curious, asking what everyone thought. And right beside her, BaekHyeon blurts out, I threw it away. No hesitation. He just said it like it meant nothing. You can see Hyunji's face change instantly, she looks hurt. And then BaekHyeon quickly tries to recover with, I'll try to find it. But by then, the damage is done. The same guy who cried over that letter just pretended it was trash. So, why? Why say that? Here's my take, that line wasn't about the letter, it was about saving face. BaekHyeon had just been completely exposed emotionally the night before. He cried, he cooked, he probably felt raw and embarrassed afterward. So now, in front of a group, including his ex and the girl he's currently flirting with, Yunyong, he panics. Saying, I threw it away, becomes a quick defense mechanism. A way to say, see. I'm fine. I'm over her. I'm cool. But emotionally, he's not fine. He's not over it. He's doing what so many people do after showing vulnerability, he overcompensates. The crying scared him because it reminded him that he still loves her. So, instead of owning it, he tries to erase it by acting cold. That's why, seconds later, he flips again and says, I'll try to find it. That's the real him peeking through. He's in conflict, pride fighting with his actual heart. And of course, there's another layer to this, Yunyong. Ever since the first day, he's been showing interest in her, voting for her 4 nights in a row, giving her attention, smiling whenever they talk, showering her with great compliments, they even have a date planned for the next day. So, when he's sitting next to his ex and the topic of her letter comes up, he's not just thinking about Hyunji's feelings, he's thinking about how he looks in front of Yunyong. He doesn't want to look like the guy who's still hung up on his ex. So what does he do? He says something that sounds cool and detached. But ironically, it backfires, because viewers can see the truth. Even after saying he threw it away, he kept looking at Hyunji, observing her reaction. You can see the way his eyes follow her, how tense he gets when Yushik talks to her, and how his entire energy shifts whenever she's around. His words say, I'm over it. His actions scream, I'm not. So, here's my honest opinion of BaekHyeon's character. He's not heartless. He's not manipulative. But he is emotionally immature. He's the type who feels things deeply but can't handle being seen as weak. He wants to be stoic and in control, but that same pride keeps him from being real. In my last video, my first commentary for episode 6, I actually defended him. I said, let's not call him immature just because he cares, and I still believe that. But the more I watched, especially when he later claimed he threw the letter away, I realized something deeper, he's emotionally immature. I say this because he doesn't know how to sit with those feelings. He's bouncing between missing her and pretending he's over her, and that flip-flop says more about his emotional growth than his words ever could. This is emotional immaturity, not immaturity, which literally means childishness. There's a difference. He's not immature for feeling, he's emotionally immature for how he reacts to those feelings. Got it? I hope you all understand my point. He's stuck between two versions of himself, the one who cries and cooks and still loves his ex, and the one who pretends he doesn't care because he's scared of what people will think. That's why he's so confusing to watch for many fans. One minute, he's thoughtful and vulnerable, the next, he's defensive and cold. It's not that he doesn't care, it's that he cares too much and doesn't know what to do with those feelings. He's a man who still hasn't made peace with his past, so he's trying to build a new story while standing in the ruins of the old one. And you can see the guilt all over him. He regrets how things ended with Hyunji, but he doesn't have the emotional tools to face that pain head-on. So he hides it behind pride, jokes, and "I threw the letter away." I believe that letter is more than just paper to him, it's symbolic. It carries Hyunji's unspoken thoughts, the parts of her perspective he might have missed or never got to hear when they were together. When he said he threw it away, he was trying to throw away his feelings. But when he sat alone crying over it, that was the truth spilling out. I believe those emotions are real. And no matter how many times he votes for Yunyong, his heart is still with Hyunji, whether he wants to admit it or not. So yeah, BaekHyeon didn't throw that letter away, he just threw up a wall. The more he tries to act cool, the more obvious it becomes that he's still hurting. Maybe he'll finally get the closure he needs before the show ends, but right now, he's still in love with his ex, and more than that, he's longing for her. So what do you guys think? Do you believe he threw that letter away for real, and why do you think so? Do you believe BaekHyeon actually wants to move on, or do you think he's just pretending? Because personally, I think this man is fighting a war between his pride and his heart, and right now, pride is winning the battle, but love is still standing strong in the background. Anyway, if you watched all the way through, thank you, and tell me in the comments what you think of BaekHyeon's behavior. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button, because in the next video, we're diving into all the major changes that'll be shaking up the house in episode 8. It's the butterfly effect from everything that went down in episode 7, and trust me, it only gets messier from here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you'll get notified as soon as I upload the next one. See you soon, bye.